We're here at the Thai Entertainment Complex Roundtable with George Tanasijevich. George, of course, we're here talking about the process to try and legalise casino gaming within large-scale entertainment complexes in Thailand. You were obviously part of this process in Singapore 20 years ago as the former property president of global development of Las Vegas Sands. Mm-hmm. So you've been through all this before and seen the pros and cons and the many different things that can happen. So my first question is, first of all, where do you think Thailand is placed with developing entertainment complexes?
Well, I think they've made tremendous strides in recent years. For the longest time, it was really not a subject you could have much of a conversation on. But following COVID, I think that people became more open-minded about the concept. And there are people within government and private sector who I think are studying it closely and understanding the opportunities that come from it and how it is that you mitigate risks.
Why do you see Thailand as a great candidate for these large-scale resorts?
Well, Thailand is one of the world's great tourism destinations. You look at the visitation figures and they can be somewhat overwhelming, but if you dig deeper into those numbers, you'll see that a large proportion of the visitation is from the lower value tourists who don't spend much when they come here, but it's a great place to visit for anyone and everyone. But I think that what the integrated resorts or the entertainment complexes could do is rebalance the mix of low value and high value tourists and bring in more of those visitors who would spend at higher levels.
What lessons do you think that Thailand could learn from the experiences of places like Singapore when they were developing their process 20 years ago?
I think a very important lesson to learn is that there needs to be close collaboration, communication, transparency between potential operators and the government so that the government can become an expert on the industry and what would be the right format or framework for Thailand. It's very important to be fully informed, to understand what best practices should be adopted, how those might be adjusted to account for local issues, and how to explain it to the people of Thailand, because at this point in time, I think there's a lot of misperception out there, and I think that there needs to be a much more assertive, comprehensive, continuous public education process so that people can all understand it and make the right decision for Thailand.
That's a really good point you raised, George. I mean, getting people to understand, I think we saw this in Japan too, just trying to help the public understand what is an entertainment complex. I'd say there's probably misconceptions around it. What are some of the common misconceptions that you've seen over the years in your roles?
Well, I think that sometimes people don't understand the role of the casino element of it. It actually represents a very small piece of the project physically, 2 to 5 to 10% at most, but it's a strong generator of revenue and profit, which positions the owner, operator, developer to invest in assets that are lower return, that are frequently funded by taxpayer dollars, and therefore relieve the government of the obligation to spend on certain assets, such as a convention center. So there's an important role that the casino plays, but it's so much more than that. And I think that it's a good idea that the government has adopted a name such as an entertainment complex so that people understand it's just not a casino.
People talk about Singapore as the gold standard all the way along from the process to the end result as well. What did Singapore really get right during that process from your experiences?
Well, I think Singapore did its homework before it made a decision to move forward. It engaged all relevant stakeholders, and I don't mean just investors or operators, but also other regulators in markets that are mature and have developed a strong legal and regulatory framework. And the importance of that is not only just so that you can be educated enough to make the right decision for your country, but also because on day one, if you decide to move forward with it, you need to be an absolute expert as a government agency or regulator to make sure that from that very first point in time, things run smoothly and according to plan.
Of course, as you say, Singapore knew exactly what they wanted and why. You spoke earlier, you gave a presentation here earlier today where you spoke about there was a lot of clarity in their RFP process and around I think you mentioned no themed resorts and things like that. I mean, that's quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they knew what they wanted, and they were quite skillful at articulating exactly what they wanted for each of the two locations. They were two very different geographical or physical locations within the city, and what they prescribed for each of these locations was something that responded to the existing environment, leveraged the attributes of it, and then created a broad menu of tourism activities, opportunities, amenities across the two integrated resorts that were complementary in large respects, certainly competitive in some, but it was great foresight and great execution by the government.
And can you speak, George, to the importance of communication between stakeholders, government, operators, also opposing voices or people who may express concerns around problem gambling and other social issues?
Well, that's the key to building trust among different parties, some of which disagree with each other, others which are aligned. But in order for a country to introduce something new and impactful like this that is going to attract the public's attention, it's really important to have strong and transparent communication to build trust. I mentioned earlier that I approached it as open book with the government of Singapore so that they could fully understand what we were proposing to do, what some of the challenges were, so that they trusted that what I was telling them was accurate. And in that respect, you can give a government greater confidence in making difficult decisions.
Of course, Marina Bay Sands became and still is possibly the most iconic integrated resort globally. Very, very successful. Just out of your own personal thoughts, George, how do you envision a Thai integrated resort entertainment complex, what that might look like?
Yeah, I think it should be the best of what our industry has to offer. I think Singapore definitely took what was established within the industry and raised it to another level. There's lots of lessons to be learned from Singapore and other jurisdictions as well, but the goal for Thailand is to make sure that not only does it raise the bar, but it also does something that is right for Thailand and the Thai people. And so you mentioned iconic architecture. I think certainly that is something that an integrated resort and entertainment complex should bring to Thailand, but it also needs to bring the best that the world has to offer in every category, whether it's retail, food and beverage, entertainment. Everything needs to be pushing the boundaries to higher levels.
Just lastly, George, of course, we're here at the Thai Entertainment Complex Roundtable. You're giving a couple of presentations today. We've already seen some great discussion on the roundtable this morning. What are your thoughts on the event in general and bringing people together for this?
Well, I applaud you for staging this event to bring people together for not just educational purposes, but so that people with different views can understand each other and find ways to perhaps establish common ground in a way that it would benefit Thailand and the people of this wonderful country.
Right. Thanks, George.
Thank you.